Hello everyone, this video will cover Module 13. So in Module 13, we're in the middle of our cause and effect essay. You have learned about the essay assignment, you learned about cause and effect, did some brainstorming. Now go back to that brainstorming writing plan and read my suggestions to make sure that your topic will work, and you will be drafting your essay in this module. So we're going to do something a little bit different from what we've done before. In this module, you're going to write out a rough draft and submit it to me as the instructor for instructor feedback. That is the only place that you need to submit that file in this module. You will also look at your own draft and give yourself some self-editing feedback. So I'll show you that here in a minute. And then we have one more grammar quiz. This is your last new grammar quiz. So the only other one in the class is at the end for a final review. So you're going to do this grammar quiz as well. So that's this module. In the next module, I want you to anticipate right at the beginning of the module, as soon as the assignments are open, you're going to take that same rough draft file that you submit to me, and you're going to submit it to the peer edit and the online writing lab. So this same rough draft will be submitted 3 times, once to me, the instructor, in Module 13, and then twice in Module 14 to the online writing lab and to your peers for a peer edit. So once we get to Module 14, I'll do a new video. You'll get to see what that looks like. But just kind of anticipate that because a lot of students get confused at this point and they're trying to make it harder than it is supposed to be. So for this purposes of Module 13, you've got they're not necessarily new readings, a kind of review of stuff that we've looked at, and so some suggestions for what to look over. There's the cause and effect essay assignment again, so reminder that you are choosing for your topic either a good choice that you're proud of doing so you can map out the effects of something that you did that was positive, or something that was negative that was a bad choice, something you're not proud of doing, what happened as a result. You might be looking at some of the causes for why you had to make that choice to begin with. You might be looking at some of the effects as a result of. You might be looking at a little bit of both. So you've got some options there. And then I've got a page here with is just, kind of going over what you should be thinking about for your rough draft. Again, rough draft is not written out like this with an outline or something. This is just the 3 parts I'm expecting: introduction, body, and conclusion. And then making sure that you get everything in there, your working thesis, explaining the chain of events, looking at causes versus effects, making sure we have those clear transitions. So those are all good to include in that rough draft. So this is the spot where you're going to submit that rough draft. And just like you've done before, you will submit your essay file and then go in and leave yourself feedback, just kind of annotated feedback on it. And so I'm just looking to see, did you actually read over your own essay after you wrote it? And so since this is at a rough draft stage, obviously a lot of your comments are going to be like, don't forget to add blah, 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 because we want to make sure that, you are actually actively reminding yourself when you're missing stuff. So you'll do that, and then you're also going to complete a separate self-edit. Now this self-edit is actually part of one of our major criteria for the class. So this is one of our outcomes, and we want to make sure that you are meeting that outcome. And so you have some questions to answer in the textbook on page 206, and your answers are going to be in complete sentences. So let me I'm going to pause the video and bring the textbook up so you can see what it looks like. Okay, so in the textbook on page 206, there are 9 questions that are just kind of self-editing types of questions, thinking about your own essay, reading back through your own essay. So when you are reading through your rough draft, you submitted it to Canvas, you're reading back through it and just leaving yourself a few notes. I also want you to be thinking about these questions, and you're going to answer these 9 questions like in a separate Word document. Just open it up. You can copy and paste the questions, and then you're just going to answer them. Just number your answers. Now, some of these questions are kind of yes or no questions. So is my thesis statement clear? My answer might be yes or it might be no. However, I don't want you just to give me or yes or a no. I want you to actually answer the question in a full statement. So yes, my thesis is clear, or no, my thesis is not clear, and then what do I need to add? At least one of these questions needs to have an answer that gives you something to work on. So this is not, the purpose of this assignment is not just to go through yes or no. It is to critique your own writing. What do you need to add? What do you need to change? Is there any specific spot that needs changing, or maybe you just want to do it overall? That's fine. But you want to make sure at least one answer has something specific for you to work on. Once you're done with that, you'll have it all typed out in a Word document. Go ahead and submit here, and then that's the assignment. So you don't have to submit another copy of your rough draft. You actually just submit the answers to the questions, not your paper again, because you just submitted it in that previous one. So that will be the self-edit assignment. And then the last thing to do at some point in this week for the module is your last grammar quiz, which is related to mechanics. Mechanics covers things like capitalization, use of quotations, use of other marks of punctuation, so ones that we don't use as often, semicolons and stuff like that. And I've got a couple videos in there just to help you if you'd rather watch those, and then take the quiz. And this, like I said, will be the last the last new quiz that you'll take for this class. So if you have any questions at all, make sure that you do send me an email. Otherwise, have a great week.